Welcome to Nana Jack's Kitchen. We're going to make a nice crispy light oatmeal chocolate chip cookie. We wanted it to be kind of like a dad's cookie, so we're going to call it Mom's cookie. But I want to call it Nana Jack's cookie. Anyway, the best way to make this cookie is to get prepared first of all with the ingredients that you need. So I get a nice bowl like this, and I'm going to put in the dry ingredients into this bowl. In the Mixmaster, I'm going to have in here 1 cup of soft butter. So I have the butter sitting in there overnight to make sure it's room temperature. So let's start with the dry ingredients. The first thing we're going to do is put in 2 cups of oatmeal. And this is your regular long cooking natural organic oatmeal. I recommend that over quick oats because we want this cookie to be nice and crispy. So that's one of the ingredients, 2 cups of that. Then we put in 2 cups of flour. Now, we're not too hip with the white flour gluten, so we use spelt flour, but any kind of flour is fine. So 2 cups in there. So there's the first 2 main ingredients of your dry. Then what we're going to do is put in the baking powder, baking soda, and cinnamon. So in here, and all I need is this 1 teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And with the baking powder, I put in 1 teaspoon, but just a tiny little bit more than the baking soda. So I'll show you when I put it in my teaspoon. See, it's just a little bit more. Then a little dash of salt, and I use Himalayan pink salt. And I just put in enough for about 1/4 of a teaspoon. There you go. So there we have the dry ingredients ready. And I'm just going to mix this all together so that the baking soda and the baking powder and the cinnamon, they all get mixed in together so you don't get a mouthful of baking soda opposed to a mouthful of flour. Okay, so that's all mixed and stirred together. And we can wait now, get all the wet ingredients done. Now sugar's not a wet ingredient, but it will be going into the whipped butter after we whip the butter. Okay, now what I've done is I've whipped the butter for a good 3 minutes or more, and I wanted to get a close-up on just how whipped and creamy it is. This is really a key to making those crispy cookies. So as my grandma used to say, whip it till it's white. So this is the butter that's whipped. And now what we're going to do is put in the sugar, but very slowly. So I've whipped the sugar into the butter slowly, and for a good 1 or 2 minutes, then I'd stop and I'd scrape all the sides, and then I'd put it on again, whip it another minute, stop, scrape all the sides. So you want to come up and take a look at, it's now sugar and butter only whipped, and that's what it should look like, because you don't want the sugar to be granular in the butter. So now that we've done that, we're going to put in 2 eggs, but we're going to put them in 1 at a time. The eggs should be room temperature as well. So I also break the egg in here first so that I don't get any shells in the cookie mix. So the first one's going to go in. Now I'm going to whip this again like I did the sugar, and then I'm going to scrape the sides, whip it again, put in the second egg, and do that. And when I come back, we'll be ready to put, actually we're going to put the vanilla in now. The vanilla, it has to be real vanilla. You cannot use any of the artificial stuff. So the vanilla is 1 capful, or I think a teaspoon, and I just put it right in. And when I come back, we'll be ready to put this mixture into the jar. Okay, we've now whipped the eggs and the butter and the sugar and the vanilla all together, and it's ready to go. But first we're going to preheat the oven. So I'm going to put it on bake, and we're going to put it to 375. My oven is not a hot oven, so I'm going to up it to 380. And then start, and then that'll be heating up while we start putting the dough together. So here is the final whipped mixture. See how fluffy and light it is. And that is the total key as to why these cookies are light and crispy. So what we're going to do is just fold the dry into this whipped wet until it's just all mixed together, but not overly done. That's why you have to mix it by hand now from this point on. Now we've stirred all of the ingredients together, but because my eggs were very large, my wet mixture was a bit too wet for the dry. So if you wanted to take a look here, it's almost there, but it's a bit too sticky. We need to make little balls and be able to pat them down. And we won't be able to do that if it's this sticky. So all I'm going to do is just take a handful of flour, and I'm going to sprinkle it on just to give it a little more stick-to-itness. And that should do the trick. So if you use medium or large eggs that aren't as big as great big farm eggs like we have, it should be no problem at all, and you won't have to add any extra flour. So once we just get that, yeah, it looks better already. So as you can see, I'm just pushing that in, taking away the super stickiness of it so that we can make little cookie balls. Well, now we're ready to make the little balls, and I have this little spoon it's like a tiny little gravy spoon, and I find that it works really well. And if you don't have a spoon like that, then a small spoon like this will do, because all you want to do is scoop a bit of the cookie dough, and then I form it so that it makes a ball about this size. And then I put it on there. And I'll do that to make the 12. Try and make them all the same size, but they're going to be all different, that's for sure. Okay, and then when we come back, I'll have them all done. So now I've put the balls of dough on the parchment on the cookie sheet, and I recommend definitely that you put the parchment down. And then we're going to press these down. I've dampened my gloves just a little bit. If you don't have gloves, just dampen your fingers just a little bit, and that way they won't stick to your fingers. And just spread them out, and we do this so that when they bake, they will be really thin, and again, that wonderful snap crispness that you want in a dad's cookie, but like I said, I'm going to call them mom's cookie. So once these are all pressed down, see, that's getting a little sticky now. Just a little bit more. Then I put chocolate chips over here in a cup. Now I've tried putting the chocolate chips in the dough and mixing it all together and then doing this, and it doesn't work because you can't get the cookies down on a uniform level. So I've reverted to doing it this way, and it takes a little time, but it's so worth it because each cookie has at least 4 chocolate chips in it. You press them in. And so everybody, because the other way that I did it, I would have like 6 chocolate chips in one cookie and 1 chocolate chip in another. So this way it just makes it really uniform. So I'll finish doing this and then we'll put them in the oven. Okay, we've now finished putting together the first 2 dozen and they're ready to go into the oven. I only bake them 1 dozen at a time. It's because of my oven. I also bake them on the bottom rung because my oven isn't a hot oven. Other people will have an oven if they put it to 375. It's sometimes too hot. But not this oven. So I put it in on the bottom, 380, and I set the timer for 9 minutes. And we'll see you in 9 minutes. Okay, so we've had them on for 9 minutes. They've cooked up quite nicely. I'll take these out. Put these ones in for 9 minutes again. The batch that I've made will make about 4.5 to 5 dozen cookies, depending on how big you make them. But for sure you can get 4 dozen. And the other trick to keeping them nice and crispy is once they're out of the oven, we have to get them up onto a cookie rack so that they can cool off evenly. And I find that by the time the next batch is ready, like in 9 minutes, I can take these off, put them into the cookie container, and make sure you have a cookie container that will seal tight, because if you leave them out, they'll soften up. So here we go. And we've created oatmeal chocolate chip, Nana Jack, Mom's cookies. P.S. I wanted to dedicate this video to Aaliyah, Mason, Tyler, and Jamie from Nana Jack. Our last sheet of cookies is coming out of the oven now, and lo and behold, I did get 5 dozen minus 1. So that was a good batch. And happy cooking, but I must say, the proof is in the cookie.
There is one missing ingredient though, and you've explained it very well, but one missing ingredient to Nana Jack's cookies is love. Watch this. Mom's cookies, the best, stellar.